Okay, good morning. This week we are back on the farm again. We were going to head over to Bowland Tractors and have a catch up there, but I don't want to lose momentum. You guys have dropped us some comments on the YouTube, but more so on the Instagram about my two new sheds and the layout and what we're doing. Now, the reason that we're doing these two new sheds and we've got to start thinking about the other sheds that we've got at the farm is because of this here. Now, these are the sheds that we rent not far from where we're based. I don't think come this winter coming that these are going to be available, because ultimately this land here is for sale for redevelopment purposes. The buildings aren't really fantastic for what we're doing, but ultimately they've got us through the winter. They got us through last winter as well, so I can't grumble at all. We've been very lucky to have them, because it's meant that we haven't had to reduce our stock levels in the winter months and sell things where we didn't really want to from a price perspective or from the size of our animals. But what I want to do is I want to have another look further into now. I'm going to show you here, because we've got that design to a degree in the bigger building where we have the floor where the cows are lower than the feed passage. And then I'm going to take you back to the office and we're going to go through it on the computer with James and get him to model it so that you can see exactly what I'm proposing to do. Let's go and have a look. So ultimately this is what I'm on about. Now, these are our new cows, by the way. These are the 24 new cows that we bought from the Halls auction over at towards Bridge North, and they are due to start calving around about the first week of March. So fingers crossed. We've not PD'd any of these. We already know they were PD'd in calf when we bought them, but they're all due to start from about the 1st of March. Hopefully they're quite a nice tight bunch calving wise, so we can get the calving done, get them back out to the bull and keep that calving group quite nice and tight. Now, this group here are the ones that we got rid of in order to make room for these. Now, although Mark's told me off because I got all my dates mixed up and wrong and days of what's gone where and when and how, ultimately that was the group there. They have moved on. Now, although Mark's told me off because I got all my dates mixed up and wrong and days of what's gone where and when and how, ultimately that was the group there. They have moved on to, not pastures new I'm afraid, but to someone's dinner plate. And these are the ones that we've now brought in, obviously to fill that gap that we've got, increase our suckler herd. So our suckler herd now has gone from 60-ish roughly up to 84. I want that to be at the 100 mark. So I'll get onto that in a minute. But this is ultimately what I'm looking at here. So, albeit these buildings have been fantastic for us, they don't really meet modern methods of agriculture because it's very labour intensive. We can't get any machinery up here. It's a bit dark and dingy. I would prefer a bit more ventilation. We have knocked all the boarding off that side some time ago to help with that. But ultimately it's not what we would be looking for. But this part of the design has always worked really, really well. So measurements wise, what we've got is down to the floor in where the cows are standing, we've got around, well, that's about 650 mil, which is in old money just over 2 foot. And then on the inside here, we've got an upstand there of 250 mil, which is a good 10 inches. So that works really well for us, so I can't see why that wouldn't work for us at home, and it should work brilliantly for the site, because if I can gain another effectively 400 to 500 mil of drop on the site by retaining the ground on the outside of the building, which I'll show you in a minute, that'll help the rest of our site work, and we keep a normal feed fence on the building of the higher side. Let's go back to the office, I'll show you. Okay, so these are the two buildings, and these are 105 foot in length, so we've got them on 15 foot bay centres, and we've gone 40 foot wide, plus then a 4'6" cantilever here and here. Now, that's the way on the site they're going to sit, so if you think along here is effectively the pig sheds, we've got the hedgerow, and then we've got the site as it falls like this. So what we've done now, we've extended these stanchions down, so that has meant that we've lowered the foundation, so the bases are now set 500 mil lower on this building than that one. So let's have them. So that's that, so they're sat lower, and then after that what we've done is we've added the additional length on the bottom panel. So if we put the panels in now, you can see on this building here we've got two number 1 metre panels giving us a 2 metre overall, and we sit the bottom of the panel about 1 inch below finished floor level. On this side here what we've done is we've increased the bottom panel to a 1.5 metre, left the 1 metre on the top, so we've got that extra 500mm of panel. So we're not retaining ground here because the ground on the outside of the building is lower. We're not retaining ground on the inside because again the floor level on the inside is lower, but then this strip up the feed fence side, that is the strip that will be retaining ground. So what we've done is we've put the panel in the web flush to the inside face because the pressure from the ground is going to be in this area here pushing this way, and we want it nice and smooth on the inside for when we come to muck out, so we can run in there with a telehandler and not hit anything. So in a section view, this is what we're looking at. So if we zoom in down here, that there you can see we're effectively looking through the model at the minute, so the steel is effectively transparent. That there is the concrete panel. We put a retaining angle in there as well, so that holds the panel in situ, and then when we're scraping we can't possibly push the panel this way. So that panel we've got, so this line here, that is our finished floor level on the outside of the building and the higher level building. So the panel there sits 150mm higher, so that acts as almost a curb so that the feed can't fall back in. And then at the same time, this is the floor level, this line here, which is 500mm lower on the inside of the building. So that will be a concrete slab there, and then on the outside, that will be the concrete slab there. And we've got this 150mm upstand to stop any feed falling back in. And then above here, we've then got that feed fence where the cows put their heads through that sits above. So if we render that image now, and now we add the floors in, and now zoom out, you can start to see now what I'm talking about. So this building here, that is now the floor. So as that comes across, we've got our standard feed fence, so the cattle are leaning through and feeding off the floor as normal. The building heights are exactly the same at the top, but we've dug into the ground, well, not dug into the ground actually because the ground is lower, but to save on groundworks, we've now sat the floor that much lower, but we're feeding through and we've still got this 150mm lip, just like what we've got, albeit 100mm shorter than what we've got in that shed that we're already using. So then if we come out of this view now and go back into the 3D view, that's the building, that's how it's going to look. There are all the panels and how they're situated. Obviously, just before we put everything else back on, if we just tilt up a little bit, we can see this arrangement here that we've got now within the building. So that there is where we're putting these two almost calf boxes in that the calves can come in, they can sneak through these little gaps here. We can feed them ad-lib corn then without the cows eating everything. At the same time, we've still got the same amount of feed fence frontage on the front sides of the building because we've still got the building split just into two, and we can access them through two gates here. So if we add the cladding and the gates and everything back on, that's basically what we're going to look like. We've just got to put a little bit of cladding in here just to bring that down a little bit, but apart from that, these are pretty much ready to go. So we've got the box profile on the side. We're doing it a little bit different. Really, we could go Yorkshire board on this. I personally think Yorkshire boarding looks absolutely fantastic in the beginning, but after 2 years, it's gone grey and horrible. So we're going to put vent air cladding on this, which is, I'll show you that in a separate video, but it's the same box profile cladding, but it's got lots of little air slits basically pressed throughout the course of the sheet. So we're going to put vent air cladding on, so that is going to add an element of ventilation. And we've also gone different with the ridge. We've gone for an open protected ridge. Now the type of ridge, we've got fibre cement on the roof. These are fibre cement upstands, both sides. They're held together by brackets that we put on, which we fabricate here. And then this here is a galvanised tin flashing that we have folded to suit. Now the idea of the flashing is to stop any rain falling and going direct into the gap that we've got underneath. And it gives a lot more ventilation than a standard ridge that we have put on the other buildings at the farm, like just a vented capping. So the idea of these fibre cement upstands in the top is to stop any driving wind and rain, but at the same time the heat that's generated bellows out and it almost acts like a chimney on a house. It's drawing, and the draft coming up is also drawing and taking all that hot air up and away from the building. So spec-wise on the building, that's where we're at. Like I say, if you have got any more comments on whether you think that will work or not work with the curb upstand and the feeding on a higher level, whether it'll be better or worse, and whether you think it'll make any difference with having one building normal and one building lowered like that. But it does suit the rest of our site. Let's go back and talk about calves. So, our autumn calving herd, which ultimately most of them have calved before Christmas and there was a handful of them just through that Christmas period, Sam and Bert have been working the magic on that group so that they're coming round to carving again at the back end. Now again, we're trying to keep them tighter now, because what I don't want to be doing is from mid-December through till probably mid-Jan. I definitely don't want any calves then. I want everybody to be able to have an easier run through the Christmas week. So what we've decided to do is we've picked out about, granted there's a couple of steers in here, but there's about 10 heifers in here that are the right weight and the right age that we have reared all the way through. So we've decided to put Sam in. Now he hasn't got long, he's basically got the next 3 weeks, because by the first week of March we want him out so that we're not calving then from mid-December onwards. So with a bit of luck, he'll catch, I don't know, maybe 10 of these, and that then puts us up to 94, and we've just got to find 6 more from somewhere else, which we've probably got 6 coming through in there, but we haven't managed yet to run them over the scales to see where they're at and check the ages out. But ultimately that will get us to our 100 number that we're looking for. Shed space will be really tight unless we do the other shed as well, which I don't know whether we'll get time or have the money to do this year. But if it works out to plan, our autumn herd that's calving will have all the shed space that it requires. And then when we come around to March, hopefully we can kick some stock out and we've either got shed space to carve in, or we could even carve some out at field if we need to. So that's the plan, fingers crossed. I want to get to 100. Come on, Mark. Okay, and to finish off on this week's vid is the last bits of the bio unit. Now, yesterday we were in and we've put all this insulation down. Sorry, I personally did a whole job myself from start to finish, because I did all the insulation on my own while Wayne and Clayton were just faffing about with window handles and stuff. So, windows are in, handles are on, all the insulation is down on the floor. So if you remember beforehand, this was just the concrete base of what we'd got in. We've then got 120 mil of foil back insulation that we've put, I, on my own, have put down in here. So that's all done now. And then the next step for us now, we visqueen this through with a damp proof membrane. That's all sealed, and then we'll put the underfloor heating in, which will be zoned for different rooms. So we've got, for argument's sake, the brew room here, we've got the showering facility over there, and the corridor that links everything up. They'll all be different zones, and each zone will have its own underfloor heating system that we're piping all the way back to where the manifold's going to go, like what you've seen when we did the house. So same principles, that's the next stage, and then we'll flood the floor with what is called an anhydride screed, which is a plaster-based screed, the same as what we used in the house, because it emits better heat quality. So that's what we're going to do. Flooring that we're going to put on top of that afterwards when we're finished, we'll get to at a later date, because at the minute I don't know what is the best flooring. We might go for a commercial grade like safety vinyl, like what you'd see in a doctor's practice or a hospital, because it's easy to clean and it'll have upstands on the side, so when you're mopping we haven't got mop marks going all the way along the skirting line. So that's what we might do. Haven't fully decided yet, but ultimately this is now ready to start thinking about that. JDC, like I say, they bought us in a temporary board, so that's in now, so we've got power. We're all juiced up here for the works and putting all the stud work in afterward as well, so that's good. And then obviously once we've done the stud work, all of that can be juiced up electric wise around the whole thing. Okay, so that's it from here on the farm. If you have any comments, please drop them in, they're always greatly appreciated. Or come and see us next week. We are going to the Yam show, so Tuesday for us is setup day, and Wednesday is main show day. So that's Yorkshire Agricultural Machinery Show. So if you're in the area, by all means pop in, or even if you're making a special visit for the show, it's a good show. Come across and say hello. Now, as Clayton spent all of his time watching a master at work doing this, we don't have much of a montage this week. So what we're going to do is drop you the next room in the house, but it's a big one because it's going to be the kitchen. So if you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and big kitchen montage. Boom.